from a couple of verses here, and then also Proverbs. Can't leave out Proverbs here. And if there were any teenagers in here, they probably wouldn't like this that I get from the book of Proverbs. But it's in the Bible. Deuteronomy chapter 6, verses 4 through 9 says this. Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord is one. You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your strength. And these words which I command you today shall be in your heart. You shall teach them diligently to your children, and shall talk of them when you sit in your house, when you walk by the way, when you lie down, and when you rise up. You shall bind them as a sign on your hand. They shall be as frontlets between your eyes. You shall write them on the doorposts of your house and on your gates. Now I want to go to Proverbs chapter 23 and verse 13. And we'll see what it says here. Solomon writes, do not withhold correction from a child. Everybody got that? It doesn't say beat them, but it says do not withhold correction from a child. For if you beat him, now there it is. I used to tell my kids about this too. The Bible actually gives me permission. For if you beat him with a rod, he will not die. If you beat him long enough, he will. But two men many years ago were talking about what to give their kids for Christmas. One commented that his son had a closet full of clothes, boxes full of toys, storage room full of sporting equipment, a go-kart in a garage. And in his frustration, he looks at his friends. He's trying to think of a gift for his son, and so he finally asks, what do you give a child who has everything? Now, I'm here to tell you, I knew how to say no to my kids, but it's hard to say no to them grandyoungers. I can tell my kids, you don't need that. But that's hard to tell my grandkids, because I enjoy frustrating my kids. Jeremy's not here tonight. Him and Danielle was with the All Children's Network or Hospital Telethon this afternoon, and All Children's is very special to us for those spinal fusions that Jeremy went through. I can't watch that without crying now. When they show the kids on there that's been miraculously touched through surgeries, and All Children's Hospital is just an incredible place. Amen. Incredible place. But I want to think about tonight this matter of parenting. How many of you have it down perfect? No, you don't, Nina. Jake would say otherwise, because you don't let him do everything he wants to do. What do you give, and I want to ask you this question. What do you give a child who has nothing? And as we look at this tonight, because God has told us some things right here in His Word, what we are to give our children. And I don't see Walmart on there anywhere, although it's not there. I don't see, giving them Walmart, Toys R Us, although I give my kid, and Cracker Barrel and the country store. It ain't a country store, it's a booby trap. Because that corner over there has nothing but toys. And the kids know exactly where they're at. And some kids, I have seen it right here at this local Cracker Barrel. I've seen kids throw a hissy fit. Now, how many of you know what that is? That would have caused damage with my parents. to the hissy fitter. But I have seen kids literally throw themselves on the floor, seriously, because they couldn't have that toy. And I've seen mom and dad, I guess, that's dangerous to say too, you're not getting that toy. So you may as well just hush. But guess what? Mom and dad tell lies. And I mean this seriously. Mom and dad don't back it up.
Right.
The kids know how to wear them down. Why do you think they put candy and treats at the checkout line? At Walmart, Publix, different places. You're already wore out from shopping. And as you get ready to go through the checkout line, you're in a hurry. And they want it. And I've seen parents say, no, absolutely not. And I've seen the child actually put it on the conveyor belt. They're at Publix. And mom just, oh well. So, but I'm not going to take this opportunity tonight to beat up kids. Because I love kids. I love the different ministries that the church has for the kids. Because I once was one. Now I'm just an older kid. I want to cover a couple of things here. The first thing that I want to deal with concerning what do you give a child who has nothing is this. Parents need to give instructions to their kids. You need to give instructions to your children. Now, how many of you know what instructions are? They're the things the ceiling fan, you throw it away because I put these things together 1,000 times. I don't need that. And then we got parts left over. Come on. We got parts left over, and it's like, wow. And if we buy enough ceiling fans, we may have enough to build another one. But how long will it take? Okay? Numerous instructions. I want you to think about this. If you remember when your children were born, and it's different now than it was then. My wife was in a what I think they called it a birthing room or something like that, and I was warned by all of my friends that you'll never make it. You'll pass out. You'll never make it. I was bound and determined because I could be in there with my wife. We went through the Lamaze classes. That's crazy. No matter what you learn in Lamaze, it don't prepare you. Right next door to my wife, when I think it was when Jacqueline was being born, there was a couple in there, and she was calling him everything but a white man. Get out of here! Come back here! Don't touch me! Hold my hand! I'm like, poor guy. And this yelling's going on, and I'm trying to keep my wife calm. Are you right? Can you identify? Breathe with me. You're trying to keep her calm, and all this chaos is going on in the room next door. Well, partner, I made it. Jacqueline was born. I don't know where she went now, but she gets embarrassed every time I tell this. But she came out, she was screaming, she was hollering. She had to shut up. But she came out, she was screaming, she was hollering. And the nurse takes her and she says, well, Dad, do you want to hold your baby? And I'm just, I'm in shock. I know I was. Just, you're kidding. That's my baby. And I took her. She stopped. The nurse looks at me and says, and that's been the case. But your life changes. And the kids have to be taught. They have to learn. and they're learning from you. I jotted down some things that we teach our kids. We have to teach them how to comb their hair. Yeah. Of course, I've seen some kids who didn't have hair. Yeah. I remember a friend of ours that had to actually tape ribbons into their little girl's hair because she was bald. And people would say, "That's just the cutest little boy. And she's in pink. I mean, come on." But this day and age, I'm not going there. But we teach them how to comb their hair. We teach them how to dress. Don't take near as much material to make their clothes now as it used to. We teach them how to make their beds. Maybe. We teach them how to tie their shoes. Brush their teeth. My grandkids get tickled at me every morning. I say, "Go brush all 3 of your teeth." And they used to just laugh at it and, go on about it and everything. Now Dylan come back and say, "I got all 3 of them, Papa." But Gil's the little clown. So we teach them how to ride a bike. And probably 1,000, if not thousands of other things that they just don't know. And somebody has to teach them. Well, what am I saying here? First of all, this. Instructions constitute a necessary part of a child's life. See, children come into the world without instructions. Now, how many of you got the booklet on how to raise your kid from the doctor when they were born? They ain't one. Everybody's different. All of us have to adapt to, all of our work schedules are different. Everything's different. So all of us raise our kids differently. They need parents to help them learn many skills that are required in life. You can't leave training to chance. I can't stress that enough. Oh, they'll be all right. They'll be all right. No, they won't if you don't let them know what they need to know. Right. The Bible teaches the necessity of a parent training a child. And I know that we're in an economy now, I'll come back to this, where mom and dad both are just about having to work. Kids are in daycare. We had some kids back whenever we had our daycare open that spent 10 hours or more. You remember, Lord? 10 hours or more here at this daycare. We had some kids that when mom and dad would come to get them and pick them up, they would run and hide behind the posts, the beams in the gym. And the parents would be like, "God, I feel so bad. They don't want to go home with me." And one parent was struggling with it so bad, and I talked to him in my office and I said, "Wouldn't you rather them want to stay here than running to you saying, 'Please get me out of here. I hate this place'?" Right. "Well, yeah, I guess I would." I said, "I know you would. Because if they were saying they didn't like it here and they were ready to go and everything, then you'd be jumping down our throat. Don't take it hard because they want to be here. That doesn't mean they don't like mom and dad. We let them get away with murder and then we send them home." Not really. But the second thing that I want to show you here is, I hope I can get through this without crying. Instructions need to be given with a sense of urgency. You can't wait, man. Kids grow up so fast. I mean, you blink your eyes and they're in kindergarten, preschool. And you blink them again and they're going to middle school or wherever, right, Lord? And then all of a sudden they're in high school. And if Michelle was in here, Cole's fixing to go off to college. Wow. I look at that. look at that car. Look at Jake's car. And I'm like, wow, I remember. I didn't get a car, Brother Terry. I got my granddaddy's old farm pickup. 3-speed on the column, 1966 Chevrolet. No radio, no air. Try to date somebody in that. But I did get some dates. You just better than walking. The Bible says, Proverbs 22:6, train up a child in the way he should go. Man, do people overlook this. And also take it out of context. T. DeWitt's Talmage preached a sermon many years ago and it was titled, Things We Never Get Over. And among the things he mentioned was parental neglect. Parental neglect. Watch this. Training a child is one chance in a lifetime. You get one shot. And then it's done. Have you ever said, I wish I hadn't? Or, man, I remember standing right here on this platform. A couple was getting ready to leave our church. And they had two girls. And the dad was standing right here on this platform, and he was just sobbing. And he said, you don't know how much I appreciate, the different ministries that are going on here and everything, but they were moving, they were going to have to go. And he said, Donnie, I'll always be thankful for that. But he said, but I want to tell you something. I am battling a lot of regret and a lot of just being angry with myself because, Donnie, I bounced around from church to church, and my kids have never known what it was to grow up in one church. And I said, well, do you think because the kids were teenagers then. I said, do you think you'll stay at the church you're going to? And he said, I don't know. Well, to make a long story short, the girls turned out okay. But he still struggles with this. And I'm going to tell you, this is one of the struggles that I had in going into ministry full time. What if the church gets tired of me? What if, I don't want to bring my kids up here. Now, you know what I'm talking about, Melissa? Brother Terry, you know. Because your kids, they're having to go to different schools. The military people face it, getting moved around, right? And so your kids are bouncing around from place to place and from home to home, and that's not good. Well, it's one chance in a lifetime. A parent must have a sense of urgency in training a child because the child becomes an adult almost overnight. Yep. Yeah. They start changing. We laugh at their voice changing, especially with the little boys. Their voice changes. I remember when, he's not in here, but I remember when Cole's voice started to change. I made fun of him so much. I said, Cole, sing me this song. He said, Pastor Don, leave me alone. But your guys' voices change. But that's part of growing up, right? Mm-hmm. I don't know that girls go through that. A little bit. Before you got to sing up in the rafters, where did you sing? In the basement? I'm kidding. Let me finish up this first part with this. Instructions need to be specific. Come on, guys. Be specific with what you tell your kids. Don't give them, a little bit here and a little bit here. Proverbs says, train up a child in the way he should go. Amen. Yes. I told a parent many years ago, It does not say train them up in the way they want to go. It says train them in the way that they should go.
Amen.
And they're going to fight you. They're not going to like some of it. But have you ever broke a horse?
Amen.
They don't like that saddle. Some of them don't like the reins. And you have to train them. It's the same way with any kind of pet if you're going to housebreak it. You've got things you've got to train them to do. The word train in Proverbs chapter 22 verse 6 is actually translated in one of two ways. It can mean to imitate or to dedicate. To imitate or to dedicate. See, training a child means the parent has experienced the Lord, as Solomon puts it, and he is saying, this is the way, now walk in it.
Amen.
I remember my dad telling me, and some of you your parents might have said this to you before. I don't care how they do it over there.
Amen.
You live here. And there were times, I'll be honest with you, when I thought, wonder how cool it'd be to have them for parents. But it never happened. I remember my dad, when I became a teenager, and I thought I knew everything. And he was home from one of his long-distance trips. He was a long-distance truck driver. And he said, let me tell you something, boy. As long as you put your feet under this table, as long as we're feeding you and you're sleeping in our bed, in our house, you're going to abide by these rules.
Amen.
If I tell you to be home at 11 o'clock, you better be here. Don't come walking in at 5 after 11. And don't call me at 10:59 saying, Dad, I got a flat tire, and you're 15 miles away. You better plan, boy.
Amen.
And that's the way it was. You didn't question.
Amen.
Then secondly, parents need to give children the privilege of personhood. If you're wondering where I got some of this, some of it I got from Dr. Dobson, some of it I got from Donnie's Book of Learning. Unfortunately, some parents depersonalize their kids. They treat them as objects to be adored. Oh, I love it when a parent introduces their child as a princess. Or they introduce the little boy as, he is so smart. He is so intelligent. He's like Einstein. Okay? We've had some experiences down through the years. Sometimes parents seek to live their lives over again through their kids. I've seen this coaching Little League. The dad didn't make it, so he's trying to push his boy to make it.
Yeah.
I could talk all night concerning this. You shouldn't put that kind of pressure on your kids. Many examples of depersonalizing a kid could be cited here. But I want to show you something here, what's involved in treating a child as a person. There's at least two things here. Treating kids as people means that parents must seek to instill a good self-image in them.
Amen.
A good self-image in them. Now that doesn't mean as long as they are acting like you want them to act. Because every kid's different. Every kid has a different personality.
Right.
Every child has a different personality. And I have wondered many times, did I bring home the right kids from the hospital? Because they showed me things that were different. They're just different. And not that I wanted to give them back, but some things catch you off guard.
Amen.
You're not ready for everything that a child throws at you. And some of them literally throw. Dr. James Dobson says, he emphasizes that parents can so depreciate their kids that they'll develop negative feelings towards themselves. There's a lot of kids that are not serving the Lord today because of what their parents did to them. And I believe with all my heart that there are many parents that are going to stand before God and give an account for the way they've treated their kids.
Amen.
Dr. Dobson encourages parents to help their children have a realistic self-image. Realistic. Don't tell them, the only way I'm going to be happy with you is if you become a doctor or a lawyer. Don't put those kind of stipulations on. I did tell Jeremy one time when he was playing Little League Baseball, I said, man, I hope you love it. I hope you get signed. And I hope with your money that I can retire and you can build Dad and Mama a house. He quit. Sorry, young. He quit.
Got a mind of his own.
And he's still working with me. Secondly, treating children as people means that parents must regard their children's autonomy. Studied all night to get that word. Their children's autonomy. What am I saying here? Kids are not robots that can be programmed. They don't come with batteries. Some of them, it's like their batteries never run down.
Amen.
And if I mention my grandkids every once in a while, I'm sorry, but no, I'm not really. But Dylan can just fall asleep anywhere. When he's done, he's done. I'm that way too. I'm just, if I'm sitting in my chair's got a drug in it, my recliner. But Dill, the other day he was riding with me somewhere. I can't even forget where I was going, and he wanted to go with Bob. So I put him in the back seat, and we didn't even get on 92, JB, 2 minutes before. I'm like, Dill, did you see that? There's not a sound coming out the back. Well, there is a sound coming out the back. And I look in the mirror and I pull it down so I can see him. And that kid's laying over to the side. Poor guy, his neck's just about broke. And I'm like, holy cow. Why did he want to go with Papa?
He loves Papa.
He wanted a nap. Children aren't robots. And we must allow our kids to be people.
Amen.
We got to allow our kids to be people. Parental tension comes at the point of granting freedom. How many kids have enough freedom? No, they want more. Stay with me here. Parents need to gradually allow their kids to get away from their dominance and become people with the right to choose. Let me tell you one of the things that we in our daycare here, in those 11 years of being open, the majority of the kids who were in our daycare were from unsafe families. At one time, I figured up there was like 78% of the kids in our daycare that were from families that did not go to church anywhere, did not proclaim any type of Christianity. Why are they in our daycare? This was the dominating response. Because I want them to have a choice.
Praise the Lord.
I want them to have a choice. There's all this weight I'm losing. There's a couple of situations I could use here, but I'll just stick to one, just for a little example, and then we'll finish this up. Little kid that used to come here by the name of Garrett Walter. He will be a senior at Armwood High School next year, if I understand right. Garrett wasn't bigger than a minute, and he's a very good baseball player for Armwood High School. But Garrett started coming when he was 2. Jacqueline was his teacher. And the kids prayed over their snacks. They prayed for their boo-boos and everything. And when a kid's that young, guys, it don't matter whether mom and dad teaches them about Christ or what have you. When they come into daycare, they get it set in a routine. And Garrett learned to pray. And after he really got it down, his mom told me one day she come and she was just crying, being all mushy and everything. And she said, Pastor Donnie, can I tell you something? And I said, yeah. She said, last night. And Garrett, he'd been coming for just a few weeks. She said, last night at the dinner table, Garrett said, Mom, can we pray? She said, we've never prayed over our food before. And she said, out of the blue, he says, can we pray? And I said, well, what Mom do? She said, we pray.
Praise the Lord.
She came on Facebook the other night. I was typing something, just a thought for the day or something. And she came on and she said, Pastor Donnie, I'll never be able to thank you guys enough. Because my boy has never forgot how to pray. He's not perfect, but he's never forgot how to pray. Folks, listen. They'll remember that. You say, well, they're so young they'll forget. Oh, Mom. No. You remember. He may be, kids may be in the service. You remember Ricky Reed from Chester? In the Army. And when they were at war, and he was in a foxhole, he said he could remember the powwow, the services. And he prayed. You never know what you're teaching a kid. Whether it's Rangers, whether it's Sunday school, whether it's the nursery. When you're dealing with kids, please take it serious.
Amen.
And if you don't want to do it, quit. Because I don't want anybody working with kids here that does not want to work with kids. They deserve better.
Amen.
And you do too. Parents must allow their children to be people. God help us. Think for a moment about the Father Jesus spoke about in Luke 15. You remember the story of the prodigal son? Well, think about this. The boy wanted freedom, right? He didn't want to be under Dad's supervision anymore. He knew it all. And the dad grants him that freedom. Am I right?
Amen.
He gives him his inheritance. And he grants him the freedom. And the boy leaves. And the dad knew that if he gave the son this freedom, it could turn out good, or it could turn out bad. He didn't know how it was going to turn out. But the father was a good parent, I believe,
Amen.
because he treated his son as a human being. His son was an adult. But his son found out who his friends were. As long as you got money, as long as you got stuff, friends will be there. But you get called. I don't know how many young guys I've talked to in jail, and even females. Their friends don't come, their friends that they once had, they don't come visit them. They ain't got time. But when you get out, here they come. God help us. Thirdly, parents need to discipline their kids.
Amen.
This is not about whippings. This subject is very touchy. Parents need to discipline their children. Listen to the wisdom of Solomon here. He says, verse 13, chapter 23, do not withhold discipline from a child. If you punish them with a rod, they will not die. I remember my dad quoting that to me. If you punish them with a rod, they won't die. But will I be injured for life? That's what I want to ask. Will But I may not die, but am I going to be able to function? And Dad was a big man. Supervision and nurture are the positive sides of discipline. Punishment is the necessary negative side of discipline. And people don't like to call it punishment. We even had people tell us with the daycare, and we've had people tell us with their kids in Sunday school, please don't tell them you're going to punish them. We don't like that word. I thought, where were you when I was a kid? I'll beat you. You can't sit down, boy. Sit down.
Amen.
And that don't make sense, JP. I'll beat you till you can't sit down. So sit down. It's like Mark Lowry said when he was mowing the grass and he was cutting up, and his mom said, "When you cut your legs off that lawnmower, don't come running to me." We don't think about what we say. If you ain't got legs, you can't run. Okay, past the humor, back to the punishment. Parents can misinterpret the real meaning of discipline. Oh, yes, they can. Perhaps one of the most misunderstood aspects of parenting comes at the point of punishment or discipline. And so, I want us to think together tonight of some abuses of this. You ever seen a kid that was abused instead of punished? Come on, we see it on TV all the time. It's publicized. It's on the internet. It's in the newspaper. You can abuse them. Discipline is distorted. Watch how this happens. Discipline is distorted when parents respond out of anger to a child.
Yeah.
Because a lot of our parents are young themselves. And they get angry. They've got a temper. My son's got a temper. And I worry about him sometimes. Because I know how I was. And I worry about people who have tempers who are raising children.
Yeah.
Because it can get very touchy. Usually, when this type of behavior happens, when they're angry with a child, it's simply because of this. The parent has been inconvenienced. Now you can run with that any way you want. Does the child ever spill something at the perfect time? You've got the rag, you're ready to clean it up. No, And it's usually after you just put that brand new tablecloth on the table. I see some of you nodding your head. It's like everything's been fine as long as I had the old one. I bought a new one. Now look at you. And the kid's just sitting there like, it's just a tablecloth. I don't think they're saying that, but some of them are scared to death. Discipline is distorted with tyrannical, strict punishment. Discipline gets distorted real easy, and it can turn into abuse very quickly. And I don't know about you, and I might be overstepping my bounds just a little bit here tonight, but when I see an individual on the news who shoot their baby because they soiled a diaper and it upset them, or like the other night I was watching, and the young guy threw his child, just a few months old, against the wall, killed it. And all I could think of, because I've got a temper, buddy, give me 5 minutes. 5 minutes with him. Throw this against the wall. He probably could. He was a big boy. But why? What brings you to do something like that to a little child? They wouldn't quit crying. I had a bad day. Well, parents can use discipline in a beneficial way. Proverbs 13:24 says, whoever spares the rod hates their children. But the one who loves their children is careful to discipline them.
Amen.
See, discipline helps train a child. It's proof that you love them. I remember my mom, right before I'd get my whippings, would switch
Amen.
a green limb off an orange tree that wrapped around your leg at least 3 times. And the pullback hurt just about as bad as the actual lick. And she'd say, son, I'm doing this because I love you. Please don't love me so much. And I told you before, she used to ask me questions while she was whipping me. Are you ever going to do this again? That's a loaded question, Terry. I'm not going to do it as long as you're whipping me, but if you'll quit. Yeah, I never understood that either. This is going to hurt me more than it hurts you. Well, give me the switch. It's a good thing I never said that. I can guarantee you I wouldn't be standing behind this podium here. I might be in a whip. No, I'm done. I probably would. I'd probably be 6 foot under pushing up Daisy. I want to end with this. Because, man, this can go a lot of different directions. Parents need to give a godly example to their children.
Amen.
Give a godly example to your kids. That does not mean you have to be perfect. I want to have a little bit of fun here, but I want you to get this. Kids can be the most fun thing in the world.
Amen.
And I have had so much fun with my kids, scaring them to death in different, you can hide from them, jump out and just scare the daylights out of them. My wife used to tell me, they're going to have nerve problems when they get older. I said, they make medication for that. It's not hard. But kids can be so much fun.
Amen.
And then you have grandkids. Sometimes I just don't want to get out of the chair and mess with them. Just laugh out. But watch this. Religion, I love this phrase, is not as much taught as it is caught. Parents tell me a lot of times, Pastor Donnie, I don't know the Bible as well as I should, so I hesitate to read it to my kids.
Crazy.
Read the Bible to your children, please.
Yes.
Amen.
Now, you don't have to sit down and say, okay, we're reading Numbers tonight. I know they ain't going to get a whole lot out of that. But, but come on, guys, there's stories in the Bible. You can pick up Bible books. The stories of Samson, David and Goliath, the 3 Hebrew children in the fiery furnace.
Yes.
I know because I've read it to our grandkids. Tell me about that again. That's cool, Papa. I never thought of it as being real cool, but I guess it is. The best fit a parent can give to a child is to live a godly life.
Amen.
Children imitate their parents either for good or for bad. Oh, I'm going somewhere here. Parents can provide a godly atmosphere for their kids. Somebody asked me one time, Pastor Donnie, do you do devotions every night with your kids? What do you think I said? Some of you are scared.
No.
I never did devotions with our kids. What kind of godly parent were you? Since you chose to go there, my kids never missed a service. They didn't get nights off. We always went to church.
Right.
We always went to church. My kids never heard me talking bad about somebody in the church. They'll tell you. They never heard me and my wife. Were we mad at people? You better believe it. But our kids didn't hear us say anything negative about them. That's church people, man. That's your friends. I didn't beat up my fellow Christian friends around my kids. Godly atmosphere. I'm proud of the way my kids turned out.
Yeah.
I am tickled to death. It meant so much to me when my kids were little. For every once in a while they'd go home with different people and spend the night. You know, the parents would tell us, "Man, they are so well behaved." You sure you got the right kid? No. My kids never caused me heartache. My kids, as far as I know, never messed with drugs. Never went out and partied. My son, when he'd get angry, would just simply ask, "Dad, can I have a key to the gym?" And he'd come down that little dirt road. He'd shoot basketball at about 11, 12 o'clock, come home. I'll say, "You okay?" He'd say, "I am now." And then I was reminded of all the times I used to go up and run, play ball, right by myself on the city courts. And the cops come by, they're in Auburndale, just cut the lights out when you get through. You know something's wrong when the police department gives you a key. Godly atmosphere. See, the best thing a child can observe in a mom or dad is a deeply committed couple who is in love with one another.
Amen.
My kids were talking to me the other day and said, Mom, Dad, we never heard you guys fuss and fight. Did y'all ever? Oh, yeah. But they didn't hear it. They didn't see it. My wife will tell you, the only time she knew that her mom and dad was having an argument or a disagreement with each other is when one would sit on the front door steps and the other one would sit on the back door steps. They knew there's a problem in paradise. And everybody handles problems differently. But please, children get a sense of security and peace in an environment where there's love. There's love. I used to kiss my wife every once in a while in front of the kids. I'd hear them say, "Yuck! That's gross." One time I told them, "How do you think you got here?" "You want me to send you back?" It can be the beginning of trouble. Think about the influence of a child living in a home where prayers are offered. They get a boo-boo. And you ask them, do you want me to pray for them? My kids used to love for us to pray for them. Genuine expressions of God's love are powerful. Powerful. I remember right after we started over here, I was fighting headaches, severe headaches that I'd had all my life. And I was laying in the bed one night, I was so sick, couldn't keep anything on my stomach, my head pounding and everything. My wife gets the kids and she says, we're going to go pray for Dad. And Jeremy might have been 2 years old. Climbs up in the bed, he little Hulk, no shirt on but his diaper. And it wasn't a pamper. It was cloth diapers that we had to wash out. He climbs up in the bed beside me and he lays his little hand on my head. And he's praying. God, touch my daddy. Make his head better. Two! problem was, we had always taught our kids that God answers prayers.
Yes.
And God does exactly what you ask Him to do, if it's His will.
Amen.
Well, they had also been taught that healing people of the sickness is His will.
That's right.
Many times. And so when Jeremy gets through, he slaps Daddy. And he says, "Get up, Daddy, you're better now."
After blessing.
You try to explain to your kid, yeah, that's a tough one. But I've wondered so many times, because my kids, they'll still pray for me. And I've wondered so many times, did I have enough faith, Brother Terry, to accept the healing? Because I know my kids did. Honest to God, I know my kids had enough faith.
Yes.
Did I miss the healing? I end with this. Parents can live godly lives before their kids. Best way to explain what a Christian is to be one.
Amen.
Yes.
I remember, we never knew who Jeremy's girlfriends were. Jacqueline would let it slip every once in a while. And I remember her letting me know one time that he liked this girl, Cracker Barrel, named Danielle. But he didn't say nothing to me, and I didn't push it or anything. And I've always wondered about what kind of an example am I setting for my kids. But I remember one night it come up something, anyway, that Jeremy had this crush on a beautiful little, I knew Danielle. He already had my approval. Because she was a good-looking lady. And still is. He did good. I don't know how she feels about it, but he did good. But I told my son, I said, first of all, your dad's a preacher. That's strike one. Because a lot of times people expect preachers' kids to be perfect. And they just ain't.
That's right.
That's not good grammar, but that. And I told my son, your mom and dad were unsaved while we were dating. We had every opportunity because they trusted the church boy. Sometimes that can be bad. But they trusted the church boy. They'd go off and leave me and Donna sitting in the house. Dangerous for teenagers with hormones. But the one thing kept going through my mind. First of all, what she said, if you love me enough, you'll wait on me.
Yeah.
But also, her mom and dad's unsaved. If I mess up, am I telling them that it doesn't matter if you're a Christian or not?
Come on.
And I told my son, I don't know, I don't care what you have to do. Don't scar your reputation. And I don't know what kind of reputation he got with you. Maybe we don't need to talk about it. But I'm so thankful that I didn't have to sit down with her parents and talk about a baby that's prematurely on the way. I say premature, before the wedding. So I know he did something right. But I want to share this with you before we pray, because I think this kind of tells just what it is concerning training up a child in the way they should go. There was a drunken dad who returned home, true story, one cold winter night. Snow was on the ground. The dad staggered up the walkway, opened up the front door, went into the house, and went to bed. The next morning, as he rises up with a hangover, he goes over to his window, two-story house, and he looks out his window and sees his little boy outside. The boy was playing in the snow, but he was staggering around. So when the little boy come back in the house, he said, "Son, what were you doing out there in the snow?" And the little boy replied to him, "I was just trying to walk in your footsteps, Daddy." That's it. Just trying to walk in your footsteps. And you know, both of my kids are in ministry, but they're in different kinds of ministry. Please don't put pressure on your kids.
Amen.
I am so blessed in our family. When we get together, no problems. We love to eat. We halfway like each other's company. And there's not any drama, is that appropriate word, going on? You know, it's so nice. Now, I'm not saying that if you have drama, there's something wrong in your family. I'm saying if you don't, you are incredibly blessed. Because I know minister friends, and I'm sure you do, Terry, that their kids are not even serving the Lord. And a lot of it's because of the way they were treated in the churches. You got one. I'm blessed. I am so blessed. And the partners that they chose to marry are here with them too. Is it because of something great that I did? No. I can guarantee you one thing. I believe a lot of it's attributed to the prayers we pray.
Amen.
I believe there's a reason I've been at this church as long as I have. And it's because God has honored that. My kids didn't bounce around from church to church. They have a hero in this church, and he's sitting right back there. Brother Chester.
Amen.
They love him to death. If Carol fixed mud pies, Jeremy would eat them. He hates spaghetti. You know that. But he'll eat hers. I'm serious. I seen it at powwow. Son, I thought you didn't like spaghetti. This ain't regular spaghetti, Dad. This is Sister Carol spaghetti. Before we pray, Friday, everybody knows I go to Hardee's every once in a while. Perfect.